the reason why Dangote sells back to Nigeria in dollar is because petroleum product is an international product that, all across the world, they sell it in dollar. Okay, they don't sell it in local currency, or they don't sell it in any other currency other than the dollar. So that's why they sell it back to Nigeria in dollar. But in my mind, because I did not have the opportunity, it was like a TV, this thing. So I did not have the opportunity to ask him that, okay, crude oil is an international product as well. So why sell it in Naira? Because largely crude oil is sold in dollar. So why is Dangote pressuring Nigerian government to sell the crude oil to him in Naira? And then he will turn back and sell the finished product to Nigeria in dollar. It did not really make sense to me. And I think, Dangote is a private business, and it's okay. I think largely, most, jurisdiction, even in the US, um, the government cater to some companies that they know that they are very critical to, to the economy. They try to give them incentives. They try to protect them from, like a strong competitions, like the way they try to protect GM from, Toyota and other foreign brands, so that, they can, put up fight with those foreign companies. I understand that that is the game that Nigeria is trying to play with Dangote, but I think in so doing, they have really succeeded in creating monopoly. Everybody wants to cater to Dangote. I appreciate that he's doing a good job creating jobs, you know, um, hiring people and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think, when all of these businesses is concentrated in his hand, he will create monopoly, and then he can do he can do whatever he chooses to do. Nobody will rival him. He will just, you know, do everything at will. And especially in Nigeria where there is no consumer protection, you know, somebody can wake up tomorrow and say they are selling an umbrella 10,000 naira. You don't buy, you don't buy it. And then, and once the person said that's what they are selling, you did be surprised there's no other places to find that umbrella. You will just walk around and end up coming back to that same shop. And guess what? You may come back and it will tell you 15,000. You have no option. So I think Nigeria really need to think it through. Like I said before, I'm not a policy expert, but common sense tells me that, you know, at least there should be few people like Dangote in Nigeria. Don't kill competition. Don't intentionally kill competition because Dangote is your person or because you want to protect him, quote unquote. But I think there should be few people like him so that, he will not be the sole determiner of price. Before we used to have like elephant cement, we used to have like a boa cement. I think we used to have like Ibeto cement. But today, all of those cements are gone. It's just Dangote. Dangote could wake up tomorrow now and say cement, a bag of cement is 20,000 naira. And there is nothing anybody can do. You will complain and complain and complain and come back to buy that same cement. But if there are like 6 or 7 or 10 different brands of cement, so I think if Dangote is selling cement for maybe 10,000 naira a bag, or a bag of Dangote cement is selling for 10,000 naira a bag, I think there should be cement selling for like 7,000 based on the quality. People should be able to make those choices. It's unfortunate that those things, some things like that are not in the country.
Yeah, I get the point you're trying to make. I'm sure in Nigeria we have a consumer protection bureau, just like in the US. But I don't know how effective they are. I mean, before you can get into businesses like this, you need a lot of money. You need connections to be able to, even start from the scratch. There's a lot of barriers that will stop you from getting into the business, right? Whether it's the local laws, federal laws, access to funds, access to capital to be able to grow the business. So I get the point you're trying to say that the country, the government should make it easier for other businesses to try so as to bring competition that will favor the consumers. But in reality, we know the system doesn't work like that. A lot of these billionaires in Nigeria, they were in the right place at the right time. Maybe they inherited the business from their father or their grandfather, and their grandfather was a friend with the government of the day back then, and they give them a contract. Hey, you're gonna run this business for us. I believe that's the kind of business practices that's been part of our country for a very long time. It's difficult for you to come from a regular background and trying to start a business and make it into something big, and you want to compete with those existing businesses. In US they call them old money, right? They've been rich, they've been wealthy for a very long time. They are part of the people who owns the country. They literally own the country. So if they're gonna give you license, you apply for it, you pay a lot of money for it. In 10 years, you'll be surprised your application is still pending, right? Wouldn't it make sense for you to just go into another business or just go put your money into something else rather than wait for a business license to drill, a business license to import or export? So yeah, I get it that our government needs to do better for the people and make it so that other businesses, other individuals can participate and make the lives of consumers easier.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think it would be in the best interest of Dangote to make sure that some of his competitors survive, because competition breeds, innovation. If you are the only person doing a particular business or producing a particular product, you would think that you are doing everything right, or you are producing the highest quality, or you are, in fact, you are producing your product the most efficient or efficient way. But you may be wrong. If you have a competition, you can easily know that you are not being innovative, because your competition will be keeping you on your toes, and your competition is looking for a way to cut the cost of production or the cost of doing business, so that, well, he can, most cases they can turn that, that savings to the consumers, or it can be, they can keep it as a profit. But if you are the only one doing this business, to innovate, to look for a way to be more efficient, you may not have the reason to do that. Even if you are making like a 5 naira on every product, you may think it's okay for you. But if you have a competition, because your competition is always doing something, looking for how to make sure that, if you are selling the product 10 naira, they are looking for a way to produce their product to make it so that they can sell it for like nine naira or 8 naira, and they will still be making profit. But if you don't have anybody that is keeping you on your toes, you just think everything is okay. But I think what they are doing with Dangote in Nigeria is not healthy.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, but Dangote as a brand itself is a Nigerian brand. I'm sure the brand has been around for a very long time, so they're entrenched in the federal government. The system is not designed to for people to compete against uh, a Nigerian brand like Dangote. So if you're starting out there, you just got to make sure you have the right connections, have the right resources, and don't go into a business that you either won't get a license for, you know. Yeah, so it's part of government bureaucracy, and hopefully, we'll have a government one day that will take a look at these things and make sure that businesses are doing fairly, and they're giving other people opportunities to compete and make the life of the consumers a lot easier.
Yeah, I completely understand that, sometimes the businesses, when they are in a business, they want to protect themselves. They want to ensure that, people do not come into the business, especially if the business is lucrative. So Nigerian government, by all means, they should look for a way to decouple, you know, Dangote, decouple it or introduce more people into all the lines of business that he currently partaking. Like in the refinery, I think they should give out more licenses for people to build refineries in Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but in reality, it's really difficult to track that, to get that done in Nigeria, especially with the systems we have in place. The system in the US works. That's why you're able to see all these businesses competing against each other. If it wasn't for the Consumer Protection Bureau, do you think Amazon would not have bought out Walmart? Do you think Amazon, if given the chance, do you think they wouldn't have bought out shipping companies like FedEx, UPS, DHL, and just buy all of them together instead of starting their own? Instead of starting their own delivery business, they could have just bought everybody in. But because the system works, they're not able to do it. Think about Facebook, right? Facebook bought out Instagram. Do you think if they had the opportunity, they wouldn't have bought TikTok? They wouldn't have bought X? They wouldn't have consolidated all the power for themselves? Even Google, right? If not for that Consumer Protection Bureau, the Federal Trade Commission, do you think Google would not have swallowed uh, Mozilla, Firefox? Do you think they would not have swallowed Microsoft or all these other businesses they're in competition with? It's because the system works. That's why uh, that's why it hasn't happened yet. And during Biden's presidency, is this lady, Lena Khan? I think she was leading Federal Trade Commission, and a lot of businesses didn't like her because she was suing companies that are, going against the
Consumer protection,
practices. Yeah, it was.
antitrust law, something like that.
Yeah, she was going against them. She was trying to break all these
Monopoly.
monopoly, and then the agreement they make you sign to for you to go to another job. But because of that, a lot of businesses were going after her, and they ended up getting rid of her when Trump became a president. So it's always going to be like that. Businesses are always going to look for a way for them to have a competitive edge well against their competitors. If they're able to buy out their competitors, they will buy them out. They will buy them out. So it's because the system works, but in a place where the system is not working, or the system protects a particular brand or a particular business, it's going to be difficult for that to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. And if you want to take it to the airline industry, imagine that there is only Delta Airline or Southwest Airline. You will wake up and they will say the ticket from here to New York is $2,000. You have no other option. You will buy it. So that is why competition is good. Today, there is Spirit Airline. Spirit Airline can take you from here to New York for $50. The only difference is that you may be carrying your luggage on your lap, and there will not be TV. So, there is almost like for every income level, there is always something available for them, that they can afford. You can afford a Spirit, you can afford a coach, you can afford the economy, you can afford first class, you can afford business class, you can afford a private jet travel, you can rent out a whole jet and use it to travel. But I think competition is very, very healthy for any economy to thrive. Otherwise, people will sabotage the economy with their monopoly, and they hold the government ransom and hold the consumer ransom, and nothing, anybody cannot do anything with about it. So let me turn it back to you to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm sure one day we'll get it right in our country, and our people will be able to have the opportunity to compete with legacy businesses, long term, old money businesses, in in the area of technology, in the area of agriculture, in the area of transportation. So yeah, hang in there. Hopefully, we'll get a better government that will defend the consumers against all these big businesses. But in the meantime, continue to do a good job. Continue to help yourself be better. Get in businesses, invest in businesses that would not put you at risk, would not put your life at risk. Because we know, bad things can happen if you're in the wrong business. So stay safe out there, and make sure you subscribe, like, join us in the comment section. Let's hear what you think about this topic. And thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you.